That's the intro. That's the intro that you get today. What's up, y'all? Welcome. Happy Wednesday. My days have been nuts already. Like, just even outside of having to deal with tournament season in the Schmoedown, just having to deal with like the pandemic and everyday life and going to work and not going to work and all of these different things. It's driving me crazy, but it's me. It's your girl Danielle here. We're hanging out with my lovely, sweet favorite Miss Kelsey.
Hey, I'm so happy to be here today. So excited to talk about this match, hang out with some awesome people. Let's do this thing.
That's right. Yes, and as always, it is blame PLD.
Yep, he's not here, but we'll still blame him anyways.
Yeah, and we're also going to blame PLD for this little disclaimer that we're going to give you all before this match. We really want to always make sure that we're a part of this community and stuff, but sometimes, guess what? We have technical difficulties, and if this is your first time watching the show, welcome to Call to Action, where we just love our technical difficulties.
We love them. They're so great.
We've had so much fun with them. So Kelsey and I are both experiencing some technical difficulties at the moment. So unfortunately, we are not able to stream the match. Our share screens just aren't working with StreamYard for whatever reason. And we really didn't realize it until it was a little too late. And that's my bad. Sorry. So
my
bad.
Oh, that's fine.
It's fine. But we do have wonderful stats brought up, made by the one, the only, the lovely Dr. Megan McCurley. I hope I'm saying her last name right. McCurley, right?
I believe so. I'm terrible.
Yeah. Meg, I'm so sorry if I'm saying your name. I know, but you know we love you.
Meg Quinn.
Yeah. That Call sign Quinn. That's right. Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman. Did you ever watch that show?
No, my mom loved that show, so it's one of those that she was while I was in the house, so I know of it.
Yeah, same thing with my grandmother. She always had it on in the house, and Little House on the Prairie for whatever reason. So, yes. Anyways, Meg makes our stats for us here at C2A, and she makes stats for the Schmoedown, and she does a wonderful job at it. So we will be utilizing her stat sheet for this match to kind of go over it and kind of break it down. And we hope that that's okay for y'all, because if not, then you're just gonna have to deal with it, because that's how we're doing the show tonight. So deal with it. Thank you so much. But also, not only that, but we also have a wonderful guest with us here tonight from the dungeon, rookie in the league. So excited to bring him on. Thank you all so much. Welcome, Mr. Andres Gallego. Woo!
Woo! How's it going, guys?
Oh, yeah. Hi! Thank you so much for being here. We're so excited to hang out.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on board, guys. I've been wanting to do this for a while and just sit here and chat with you guys.
Yes, absolutely. We're very excited to have you on. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's my pleasure.
So this is the first match going into the new singles tournament of the Movie Trivia Schmoedown League. We're all excited about this. It's a huge bracket. That whole bracket is ginormous. Kelsey, give me your overall thoughts about the singles tournament going in, starting.
So as soon as I heard there was going to be a singles tournament and just how massive it was going to be, I was super excited because, with all the COVID stuff, that you were kind of like, what's this season going to be like now? Are we going to get a ton of matches? For a while, we thought we were hopefully just going to get, exhibition matches, before they figured out a great way to do the tournaments and stuff. So very happy that this is happening. That bracket is insane. I just can't wait to see, where things go like this. So I came into this tournament season super excited to see what was in store for us.
Absolutely, me too. Tournament season is one of my favorite times of the year. Not so much for my computer, apparently, but overall, tournament season is one of the best things of the Schmoedown year for me. And now we're going into singles. So, Andres, getting ready for tournament season before you knew that you were going into it. I think we all knew that singles, we were eventually going to get a singles lead. This new way that we're doing the Schmoedown, digitally, online, all of that. We knew that a singles tournament was coming. Were you absolutely wanting to come into the singles tournament?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the thing that I was most excited about was, in terms of competing on the Schmoedown, was definitely doing the singles tournament. And, Yay, Eric, Nerd Chronic.
Yeah.
And can we also just do a quick plug-in real quick?
Absolutely.
Yodi for Chronic?
Yes.
Yodi for
Get
Chronic,
that
guys?
hashtag going, guys.
Yeah. I know how Eric feels about it, but you know what? I'm gonna freaking praise him until the freaking stars here every day.
And he deserves it. We need to do that.
Oh, absolutely. And for all the editing that he's doing, like, man.
Okay, we're whining about tournament season with all the stuff we have to cover, and we don't even have to do 2% of what he's having to do this tournament season. So I don't know why we're whining, but we are.
Yeah.
But in terms of after being drafted and seeing where was a good place to at least debut and all that other stuff, definitely at least a singles match was something that I wanted to at least get my hands on. And how everything's kind of going on right now, the singles tournament kind of felt like the best place to at least start up fresh and debut and just see what I could do for sure.
Yeah. So really quickly, we are big fans of the dungeon. Everyone knows that. Anyone who is a fan of the show knows that Kelsey and I are big fans of the dungeon. Call to Action is a big fan of the dungeon. And were you excited whenever it was, when knowing that you get to practice with Kevin Smets, Shantu Dandapani, everyone else inside of that faction? Like, were you excited going into the dungeon?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that to me felt like the biggest pipe dream come true, where it's just, just some of these powerhouses that are in there, like, Smets, absolutely, Wit, absolutely as well.
I just realized what I said. I'm so sorry. I just realized what I said. I'm sorry. It's been a long day. I'm so sorry.
No, you're all good. And also even Video Drew as well too, which right now, like, just the amount of training that she's going through right now has seriously impressed me. And as someone who is kind of prided himself on being kind of a trivia guy as well, like, just some of the stuff that she's able to retain, like, I think she's going to come out guns blazing this season. And yeah, it's going to be fantastic. But going into the dungeon and training with everybody for the first time, like, it kind of felt like, oh man, don't geek out. Don't geek out. Just go in and just be yourself and stuff like that. And then I was very pleasantly taken aback by how amazing everybody was and how supportive the entire dungeon was. And just also talking to real quick about when I was drafted and the choices between all the different coaches and all this other stuff. And I don't know why, but the minute that I spoke to Kaiser, it just clicked, and it just felt like, you know what? I'm not pitching myself. I'm just going to be like, you know what? I freaking love movies. That's me. Like, I've been in this industry for quite a bit and for a couple of years. And, look at my room right now. I'm a freaking nerd for anything movie related. So I'm just like, you know what? I live, breathe, and eat movies. I'm so comfortable being a part of the dungeon. And then it just automatically clicked, and everybody. And as soon as I joined in on the training, just, I mean, it's going to be kind of cliche to say this, but it really did feel like a team. Really did feel like a very supportive team all the way through. So, I just love being in the dungeon so much.
I think that we've all heard things about Kaiser as a manager. We've all heard great things about Kaiser as a manager from all of his players. So, Kelsey, how do you feel about the dungeon going into the singles match? The dungeon as a faction, getting ready to go in here. After everything that's going down, we're not going to talk too many spoilers about anything else that happens. That's probably why I said that earlier, is because I have that match inside my brain. Because good boy howdy with it. But Kelsey, how do you feel about the dungeon getting ready for this singles tournament?
Super excited to see everyone that I have into this tournament. the dungeon's got some powerhouse players in there, and I feel like a lot of players that are underestimated as well. Don't underestimate the dungeon; they're coming. So I am super excited to see how the bracket goes. I've heard many things about Video Drew and how like she's just dialed in she's been preparing for this. So I'm super excited to see what she has in store for us as well. So I super stoked. Dungeon's gonna kick some butt.
Me too. I'm excited to see Eric Zipper in this.
Oh.
I would love to see some Zipper redemption. He's going up against some really tough competition, but I would absolutely love to see that. I would also I'm excited to see Vinny Mancuso. Also, that would that would be a great match to watch because his is also going to be his is a play-in match as well. So Andres, your match for this episode that we're talking about was a play-in match. Vinny Mancuso's is a play-in match. So these two options that the dungeon gets to slide in there. So I lost my own train of thought because we were trying to keep the show clean, and it's my fault. The reason why this show doesn't stay clean.
I was following along with you. You're fine.
I tried to get myself out of it, and I just didn't know how. I'm trying. I'm trying. Anyways, yeah. So Andres, going into the singles tournament, how are you feeling about the dungeon and everyone that you got going into this?
Going into the dungeon and just seeing everybody that's competing right now, essentially. I couldn't be more excited and simultaneously actually excited is actually a great word because I was about to say nervous. I'm like, no, nervous is the wrong word. It's like I'm stoked. It's like I can't wait to see these matches and just seeing the improvements from everybody and the improvement. I mean, like, we're all talking about Zipper and redemption for Zipper and stuff like that. But the thing is that people forget that Zipper has been doing really well in the past couple of matches, and that he's really shown exactly how much he can take how much he can take a loss and then spin it into just a way for him to come back and just a way for him to just come back guns blazing. And I mean, a lot of people give a lot of thought to, the losses, but the thing is that we love a comeback more than anything else. And I think Zipper and I think Drew is especially is going to have a great year this year. And even Vinny as well too. Like Vinny, like again, I can't stress this enough. I'm so proud of my team right now, and I'm so proud of just where we're at, and I just can't wait to see these matches when they finally pop up.
Me too. I'm super pumped. But you talked about comebacks, and speaking of comebacks, Corruption. You went up against Corruption, and like it was said inside of this match, Christian says it a lot. This is Shannon going up against Kaiser again, which seems to happen quite often. A lot. So this is before you were drafted into this league at all, you were a fan of the Schmoedown, correct?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, the first thing I did as soon as I arrived out here in LA was I actually went to go see the Death of Superman Lives with the great John Schnepp directing and narrating, and rest in peace, man. And honestly, that was my first week out here in LA, and Eric had shown me a little bit of the Schmoedown here and there, and I was like, oh yeah, that is that thing that I've been watching for a little bit. So so yeah, no, it's definitely been a part of my life for quite a bit, and I fully love it and I fully enjoy it so much.
Yeah, so you've seen what Corruption has turned into and where it's going and all of that stuff. How did you feel about Corruption just as a fan before you started playing in the league?
I kind of felt like definitely Corruption has kind of come into its own now, and there is a thing to getting a couple of wins, and they're definitely playing heel really well, I would say. And
even nailed it a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. But when you got a couple of wins right behind you, absolutely. But yeah, no. But having said that, there is no doubt that Corruption is coming in guns blazing all the way through. Like they are. They can spot talent. I mean, and let's not forget, they also drafted Nerd Chronic in the very beginning of the season as well. So, as someone in the dungeon, I would say, you know what? They did exactly the right thing by recruiting Eric at first. And that, oh man, to me, that still is one of those I would have loved to have seen Eric compete on this. And And not only that, but like we worked a night job at the same time as well, and we would watch episodes of the Schmoedown, and we both have our our dry erase boards over in the office at around 1 a.m, and we're watching the episodes. And then all of a sudden, when there's a teams match, just like Eric teams, yep, let's do it. Man, but that's still one of my dreams, is to be on a team with Eric eventually at some point, just no matter what happens.
That would be fun. I've seen you play with the Video Jews play-alongs with Video Jew and Eric as well. So those were always fun.
Oh, I love those.
Yeah, Kelsey, you are you're the C2A corruption fan. Like, you're the leader of the corruption club inside of C2A. So getting ready for this match and going into the singles tournament, also same question, like, how did you feel about corruption getting ready for this going into the singles tournament?
Especially after their recent IG run and everything like that, I've like Shannon has proven how amazing of a manager is. She has, not only with actually like the managing stuff, but just her character's freaking awesome. Like, she is who you love to hate. She's like, she's a role model as a woman, like, yeah, be a badass woman, but also it's like, but also, you know, I'm supposed to not be rooting for you because you're a heel team. But there's such an interesting group of people. I think this season they've really come into their own with her as the manager. I've always enjoyed them back when Grace and Ken and everybody were in charge of it and stuff, but I feel like they hit a new level of the group being very cohesive and on a similar plane, similar mission, and having her as the voice. It's been great.
Yep. I absolutely agree. It's been so much fun watching Shannon do what she's done inside of the league and with corruption. I think a lot of us were kind of iffy about it at the beginning when she first came on. You know, sometimes you're unsure about certain things, but she came in guns blazing and just never put those guns away, man. She's
just puts out more of them. It's like, how many can you carry at one time, Shannon?
Oh yeah, no. When Shannon first came on board, like, you know, I mean, I remember having a talk with some of my friends about it. And I'm like, you know what? I think she's definitely going to come into her own, and I'm so looking forward to seeing what she does. And then a friend of mine, I'm not going to say whose name. Certain, it's definitely not Eric for anybody asking, because Eric loves Shannon. But somebody was just like, oh, you know what? Probably going to come in and clip a couple of people here and there, and then seeing what she's doing right now, she's not clipped people, she's knocked them on their freaking knees. I mean, so yeah, no, absolutely. I just think Shannon has done an amazing job as a coach, and you know, and also I have to give the shout out as well to my coach as well, Kaiser. I mean, he's just been he's kind of surprised me at every turn in terms of how coaches kind of come about with this. You know, during the match, I kind of saw a couple of comments here and there where people were just like, oh, you know, people should have, you know, some of the players should have just started listening to Kaiser. And the thing is, Kaiser is not one of those coaches that he's not going to basically say, do this, because a good coach's job is not necessarily to lead. Is not necessarily to give instructions, but it's to lead and to give you a sense of comfortability when you're going into the match. And that was something that I've always had the utmost respect for Kaiser, especially all the other team members as well too, in terms of, you know what, if they feel comfortable with it, go right ahead and do it. And then sometimes you get big surprises like what Smets has done all last year. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it doesn't work out in your favor. But the thing is that, you know, from every single failure that you have, that's all a learning experience going forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think it was not necessarily a risky move, but definitely a move on Kaiser's part on recruiting a lot of rookies. They said it in the match about where Kaiser's chances with playing and seeing different people. You know, you bring in a lot of rookies, your matches are going to be at a certain level, and that's what happened, and that's why Corruption and the Dungeon have been going up against each other so often, so recently. So really quickly, I'm just trying to check my notes here. Oh, okay. So let's talk about your opponent really quickly, Mr. Adam Collins. You never played in the fan leagues, did you?
No, I haven't had the opportunity to play in the fan leagues, and that was just something where there's a ton of tape on Am Collins, and doing my research on him, the guy's a beast. The guy's an absolute beast, and that was going to be my first match, right off the get go. I like what's called, like, a lot of people have asked me, like, "Oh man, you're going up against Am Collins. Are you worried? Are you worried?" And I'm like, no, I'm actually excited. Like, this is great. Like what's called, like, going into this. I mean, of course I want to win, absolutely. But if there's something that life has taught me quite a bit, is don't go in expecting the win. Don't go in expecting the gold. I mean, if it happens, it's great, but just go in for the experience and go in and show them what you can do and know what your ability is. And I'm certainly still confident in my abilities to do movie trivia, and I know Eric is as well too. I mean, having studied with him, like, he's seen me in terms of just sitting there and being put right to the test right there as well. Again, there's certain days where you go really well, and then there's certain days where the coin just doesn't flip in your favor, or the wheel doesn't go in your favor. but overall, it's just one of those things where you can train as much as you want, but there's always going to be a level of luck that will just be out of your hands, that you just kind of have to just go forward and take. But to answer your question, I was so excited to go up against Adam, and he was definitely a formidable foe, absolutely. And I was just really excited right off the get-go to go up against him, and I knew whatever way it rolled out, it was going to be interesting. And it turned out the way it did, but honestly, it was still just a blast to go up against someone of that nature as well.
So you watched the game tape, saw his fan league stuff. Did you ever watch anything in the fan leagues before that?
Yeah, I did see some stuff in the fan leagues before that, here and there, and the Schmoedown primarily took most of my attention throughout most of the last year and most of this year as well, for obvious reasons. We're in the middle of a pandemic, and work is just kind of, my job right now, I work nights, so that's kind of one of those things where it was just a swing shift, and I just happened to catch a couple of the fan league episodes here and there, but still trying to remain as active as I can in terms of watching all the Schmoedown stuff that they have. And also the other thing too, is it just me, or does it seem that they're pumping out more stuff than what they did last year by like a long shot?
It feels like it, especially being when people have to react and digital stuff. It's like very overwhelming. Even though I have more free time because of Schmoedown, I have less free time. So much of my time is taken up by Schmoedown this season, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just kind of insane that we went from just that level of content going out last year to now. It just feels like whenever it's slow, all of a sudden it's like, oh, by the way, you're going to get 4 matches this week now. Now you're going to get 4. Now, oh yeah, and by the way, here's a 36 match tournament. Like, it's it's certainly going to be not necessarily long year, but there's going to be a lot of content to watch, and it's going to be a lot of great players and a lot of great contestants to see pop up on the Schmoedown as well. Like, I'm so excited for not only for some of the returning characters, but also for some of the rookies to come in and just do what they do best and just surprise all of us.
100%. I love the fresh new faces that are inside of this league. I love, like you said, seeing these older characters returning. We are getting Andrew Guy versus Ben Bateman Part 2 soon. That's going to be a lot of fun for us. Kelsey, how do you feel about all of these rookies coming into the league and getting put into these tournaments?
Super excited. I think honestly seeing the rookies come in blazing and how things have been going has been one of my favorite things about this season. It's just honestly many bad things has happened with COVID. I think one of the good things is that it's all virtual. It's easier to get people from further away, stuff like that. So I think it's just opening up opportunities. So maybe we'll get to see these rookies a little bit more possibly than we would have normally, which I think is amazing. And so I'm just super excited to see people I've heard hyped up all season or even last season actually finally getting to play. It's definitely been exciting.
Yes. Now I know that I'm not familiar with the fan leagues. It's unfortunately content that I don't necessarily have time to watch, so I just don't seek it out or anything like that. So I'm not familiar with Adam Collins at all. This was someone who I had only very recently heard about him being in the fan leagues. I honestly did not know anything about Adam Collins at all until very recently. So Kelsey, did you know anything more about Adam Collins? Did you watch any of his fan league matches or anything like that?
I did not. I'm also a similar thing where I barely can keep up a Schmoedown. That trying to add fan leagues onto that, I do need sleep occasionally.
You have a very similar schedule to mine, so I can very much understand not taking in that content. But he was a very hyped up player inside of the fan league, so it was going to be a fun match to watch. Either way, there are a few things about the character that I didn't get, but I'm excited to see more of like what they're doing with the coyote. I think that's a fun name.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like Andres, like I want to ask. There's so many things that I want to ask you, but there's also reasons why I'm not asking you certain things. So before we move on, I'm gonna take a quick second to plug this, y'all. This coming Monday, we are having Mr. Andres Gallego come on Chill to Action. So Andres, I'm super excited to see you and to hang out with you there, so we can really kind of deep dive more into what got you into the Schmoedown, how you started watching it, different things like that, more about your nickname and different stuff about that origin. So I just don't want to ask you those questions now if I'm going to ask you those questions then, because I'd rather save them for Chill. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, that's going to be a fun episode to do, Chill. Like I've been watching Chill for the past couple of months and I'm just like, oh man, this is just one of those, again, pipe dream to appear on the show. And I saw your episode with Eric as well, and that's just been that was a fantastic episode. Like so many things about him that I didn't know about that one, and I've known him for over 6 years by this point now too. Like he's one of my closest friends out here in LA.
I'm glad that we could do that for you, because that makes me feel really good. Good job, Paul. You're doing a great job over there.
If we have to be nice to Paul, I guess we can.
Yeah, that's a definite blame PLD. So getting into the match, going into it, we got to see Kaiser and Shannon go at it. This is the very first match going into the tournament season. Now I know most of the time these matches are taped ahead of time. Did you know that your match was going to be the first match that was going to air for the tournament?
I had a sense that it was until I mean, like I kind of thought it would be one of the first ones before we go into just the tournament in general, but I didn't have any clue until I think about like a week or two before the match taped that it was going to be the first one. So it's like, oh great, you're a rookie coming in, but also you're going to set this off as well. It's like, oh great. I was still excited to come in and still excited to show what I can do, but you know there is that certain feeling, you know, that you wake up at 2 a.m. and you're just like, man, I'm starting this off. Oh my god. But it was still all excitement though at the end of the day.
Good, yes, absolutely. Because sometimes you just want to get it over with, just bite the bullet and let it be the one to get out there. That was where I was going with that question. Did you feel nervous about it or any sort of excitement about it being the first one? Especially if you don't know that, if you had that information going into the match, can that do anything? But also, this is your first ever Schmoedown match.
Yeah.
So that's really that. Congratulations on that. Especially there are so many people out there that are definitely trying to get into the Schmoedown, and you had the opportunity to do it. But unfortunately, fortunately, maybe I'd like your opinion on that. Doing it digitally, do you feel any sort of different pressure or any sort of less pressure having to do it in this type of format and not having those big bright lights right in your face?
I mean, honestly, people have talked about the pressure of the big bright lights there, and um, Eric was nice enough during several points last year, and I think even also in the beginning of this year as well too, that I actually was able to go over to the studio and actually watch them record and see how the entire process was. Oh, here, get this. So, so my first match, the first matches I saw taped, I just started talking to a couple of the people that were in the audience and just just striking up conversations here and there and stuff like that. And I started talking to this gentleman to my left, and we were just like, just kind of hitting it off, and it was really great, and we were playing along with one another. And there was another gentleman to my right that was also just really great, and just really just someone that I was connecting to as well. I was sitting right next to Craig the Barbarian and Chandru as well to my right. Like, can you imagine that last year before knowing what they could do now and seeing how much talent that they brought to the Schmoedown itself? And it's just it's incredible. It's one of those things where you go, you know what? I feel like these guys, if they got in there, they really could do something as well. And the same thing as well too. Especially Craig, he went on a couple shows and basically said, if Andres was to go in there, I think he'd be a strong competitor and stuff like that. And, it's all been very supportive between all of us here and all the competitors. So yeah, sorry, going back to your question about the big bright lights, that was something that, I actually wished my first match was in the studio, actually, because there's something about feeding off of the audience and feeding off of the vibe of everybody that's there, and seeing Christian and Mark there at the table with the promo in the background and all this other stuff. And it was I mean, certain people would probably run at the chance of like that type of pressure. But having been on sets throughout most of my career and for the past 15 years or so, it's oddly a place that I feel very comfortable in. And there's a difference between sitting there with a group of 40 or 50 people, no, not 40 or 50, but like 30 or 40 people or so, including all the technicians and all the amazing people behind the scenes. But there's kind of something to recording and then knowing that this is going to go out online at some point. It does kind of play into it, but at a certain point in time, you just need to just shut that off and just, as Kaiser brilliantly said, it's just you against the questions, man. Just you against the questions.
Nice. Very cool. I love that. I am very patiently waiting for Paul to send me a big old message saying, wait for chill, because it is 30 minutes in and we have barely talked about the match. So
I'm actually one of those people that I'll pontificate for hours. So
and I will ask as many questions as I can, no matter what. And I know Kelsey is the same. So Kelsey, I'm going to let you bring up that the stats report, stats sheet from good old Megs, so we can see it right in there. Adam the Coyote Collins versus Andres the Ghost Gallego from Corruption and the Dungeon. Let's see. Okay. Round 1, 9-6. Whoa, those accuracy rates, that especially the accuracy rate on Collins, that is a doozy right over there. So there were a couple of questions. I'll let you take that down real quick, Kelsey. So from a perspective of a fan going into playing these matches, when you get these questions and you hear these questions, is there anything that ever plays into your head that like are there questions that you really enjoyed getting or that you enjoyed getting at all in round 1?
Yeah, there's several questions that I enjoy getting in round 1. Even though I got it wrong, I enjoy all the Mission Impossible films. And just for some reason, I just confused 2 characters in that franchise because there's a lot of female characters in that franchise, but not necessarily a lot of agents in that. So I confused 2 characters with that. And that's one of those things that I feel that I need to get better at, is memorizing names, absolutely, because I'm very good with faces. I'm very good with faces and very good with recognizing people. The only thing is, again, names is going to be one of those things that's going to pop up, especially it's in. And I'll also say this right now because the I'll also say it right now because of the fact that there's no longer going to be a slice on the wheel. This season actually is comic book movies is one of those things that just comes right to my head brain just so well. And now that that's kind of gone in with Inner Geekdom, that's going to be something to take into account going forward. In terms of questions that I enjoyed answering in that first round.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely the director questions, I'm a big horror fan as well too, so I love the horror type of questions. And apart from that, that's pretty much about all I'm going to reveal right now for now.
Oh yeah, absolutely, because I'm very worried that we're going to get an angry Kaiser inside of our chat rooms, shutting the whole stream down.
Yeah, and that's also to say I've got a couple of cards that I'm holding close to my chest for now at least. So we'll see going forward.
Yep, absolutely. So watching that round one go down, Colin's getting all 8 right, hitting that bonus question. What's going through your mind at that point?
What's going through my mind at that point is just don't buckle under the pressure. Don't buckle under the pressure, because I've seen I can't even count how many times I've seen competitors go in with a perfect round and then just completely just fizzle and pop in right there when, again, it's one of those things where when you go in, the ego can get to you a little bit, and you get the hare versus the tortoise syndrome, where it's like, oh well, you know what, it's going to be smooth sailing. But I will have to give props to Adam on that front, that he kept his composure as well as he did. He was very focused, and same thing on my end as well too. I just didn't let that get to me as much as I saw other competitors in the past before. And that's pretty much the one thing I was very proud of myself for in this match, was how I composed myself all the way through. So that's pretty much what I was thinking, is just don't worry, just keep going forward. You can turn it around at some point.
Yeah. Kelsey, what were your feelings about round one?
Round one I thought was fantastic. I mean, the only questions you got wrong first two, so like you said, you didn't let that bother you. You ended up getting on a great groove where you got the rest of the round correct, which is awesome, because if it was me, I get one wrong and be like, I'm done. This is I throw in the towels and like that. So like that was fantastic, and got me really pumped for round two, because round two it's still my favorite round. It's like this is gonna, like, can make or break a match and stuff like that. So it was a good setup for going into round two for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think so as well. Speaking of round two is also my favorite round in the side of the Schmoedown. As much as I hate the digital wheel, we have our differences. It just doesn't do well in Houston. Or
did it do really well in Houston?
That infamous match, right?
Yeah.
I will say one thing about the wheel. I will say one thing about the wheel, though. See, being there in the studio and watching all the competitors spin that wheel, that was one of the biggest things I always wanted to do, was spin that wheel at some point. Maybe in the future, depending on how things go, it's still my hope that one day we'll still be able to do that. But yeah, I do have to mention that I was kind of disappointed that I didn't spin the wheel.
Yeah, you just got to imagine just kind of on the computer,
in my mind, I'm doing
it. Definitely. Going into round two, I believe Collins goes first. Is that correct?
Yes, he went first.
Yeah, so Collins goes first. Collins decides to go first. I don't want to ask your strategy about this, because I know that I have this is my favorite question to ask people most of the time, is what would you do? Would you go first or would you go second on the wheel? Like what's your what's your choice on that? I don't want to ask about the strategy, but I do want to know, does Dungeon have a very specific strategy, which is always easy to know if you watch the matches?
We do have a strategy, absolutely, and there is a little play on there that I'm gonna have to plead the fifth on that one right there. So unfortunately, as much as I would love to give you guys everything, and I'm one of those people that whenever I'm on sets, NDAs, what does that mean? Like, yeah, but anyway, but in all seriousness, yeah, no, we do have a strategy, and I will say it's probably a secret by this point now, and maybe one day we'll come out and we'll talk more about it for sure.
Kelsey and I are going to start the Schmoedown gossip channel where we have everyone on, where we ask them those questions like, all right, so what are your studying secrets? And then we just want them play along, play around the question and avoid answering it. But we'll just ask all of those questions that you're not supposed to ask a competitor.
That's going to be a controversial one, right?
Yeah, I mean, AAA causes problems. Imagine that show. That show's going to be great.
I can already hear Kaiser right now.
Kelsey, I'm gonna let you bring up that graphic one more time, Kelsey. Going into round 2. Let's see. There we go. Collins right there. Movie release dates. What a fun one. Let's see. Sorry, I'm trying to adjust my eyes, everyone. Yeah, so Collins spins first, chooses movie release dates, gets that. You get the steal. You did get that steal, right?
Yeah, I got one steal against him on movie release dates.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm so sorry that I do not have the question and what that question is, but I would like to ask you about that. It's got to feel good whenever you get a steal in from a competitor, especially when they're already on a momentum.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of those things where movie release dates is definitely something I feel very comfortable in. And, the minute that Adam took that, I was just like, oh man, just wait. Anytime he went if he never went multiple during any of those, I feel like I'm entirely comfortable in that situation. And one of my buddies who saw the match, who knows me and who's worked with me when I was working over at my old days over at the movie theater, working over at Bowtie Cinemas for the past 9 years or so, before moving out here to LA. But he was watching the match, and he basically sent me a gift of the moment where all of a sudden Collins was asking a couple of the questions, and he just saw me right there, and he's like, this was you the entire time. He just sent me a gif of Darth Maul just on the other end of the of the laser beam, and he's just waiting there on the other end. But yeah, and the funny thing is too is that we were working together the same year that Nightcrawler came out, which that was the question.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. How funny. Good stuff. Kelsey, how do you feel about movie release dates as a slice?
If it's a movie that's come out in like the last 10 years, I'm actually decent at it. But one thing I think, especially if I was there, I don't know if I ever go multiple on movie release dates. I feel like I know the general area of when the movie comes out. So when I ask multiple choice, it's going to be those years that I'm thinking about. So it's not going to help me at all. I guess the only reason I would go down is to like make it worth less if I miss it. But it's always kind of interesting to see, like, if people can pull it really quick, if it's one of those things where you can tell like they're cataloging things like, okay, what was I doing that year that it came out? Oh, I was a senior in high school. Okay, well, it came out in 2007 or something like that. So I think it's a really cool category to watch.
See, I completely relate to that as well. Like, have you guys ever seen the 1999 film High Fidelity?
Yeah.
With John Cusack?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
There's a particular moment in the film where he's sorting out all his records, and the way he's sorting out his records is not alphabetical. It's not by year. He's doing them in a way that I've always sorted out all my films, is autobiographical, where he's like, if I need to think about what movie I watched at this point, I just summer of 2003. Oh, that was the year that I watched Pulp Fiction quite a bit. It's like that's something that I relate to so much so to a certain extent. So yeah, it's definitely one of those categories that connects me to what a previous event in my life was, and in terms of just me becoming a film fan as well, it's one of those that's near and dear to my heart.
I cannot retain that at all. I have the worst trouble retaining information. There was like a once in a blue moon time where I thought about competing and just realized that no matter how hard I study as I did, I just couldn't retain this information in any sort of way. I'm sure if I really put my nose to it, maybe possibly, but movie release dates and nothing like that really sticks out into my brain, but it is good to know. So now going into your spin for round 2, Andres, there was a lot of talk about it. There was a few people inside of the chats and stuff like that were vocal about their opinions on what the decision should have been going into round 2. Now, I will say, in my opinion, whenever I think of Inner Geekdom on the wheel now, it's, I don't think that they're going to be, especially with what that what's the word that I'm looking for? It's not faction. That part. It's not the
division.
Thank you. That's the word that I'm looking for. The Inner Geekdom, especially because the Inner Geekdom division is at such a high caliber right now. We have no idea where those questions in Inner Geekdom are going to land. Are they going to be at that top tier level that we've seen inside of Inner Geekdom matches, or are they going to be just regular, everyday Inner Geekdom questions that someone like me, who definitely could not study for that division, could possibly do well in a category? And so what was your initial thought going into Inner Geekdom, especially that being your first spin on the wheel?
Yeah, so the minute I spun Inner Geekdom, that was definitely a risk assessment, because as someone really brilliant has come out and talked to me about it later, it's high risk but high reward at the end of the day. And the thing is that it wasn't just it wasn't just a fast decision for me to do Inner Geekdom, because you also have to play the risk assessment of all the other slices out there, and knowing that movie quotes, Drew Barrymore, I mean, as much as I love Drew Barrymore, it's one of those that, it's they can go pretty deep dive on that stuff. And I pride myself in knowing a lot of things, and especially, Stanley Kubrick as well, too. That's a whole wide range of films right then and there. So I kind of felt that in choosing Inner Geekdom, I was following along with the Inner Geekdom tournament, and I was holding my own fairly well on that front. And I was studying along with Eric as well too, and we were watching all the episodes that aired already. And I felt really comfortable in that, and that was also what Kaiser allowed me to do and got me comfortable with, was just, if you feel comfortable, do it. And the thing is, who knows if I would have spun that wheel, if I would have gotten something that I think I'm not that good at, but I actually got okay at, or would I be regretting the fact that I spun away from something that I know I held my own in, and that me and Eric, we both studied together in that sense. And I mean, it can get hard, but Inner Geekdom, as I've said in the match, it can be such a coin flip of a category. Sometimes it can be very surface level questions, but then other times it can be very deep cut. Like for that Star Wars question, I mean, I had seen Rise of Skywalker, definitely, but there was nothing in my head that basically just went, oh man, what was that planet called? Like, you know what I mean? There's a certain thing to there's a certain level of like, oh man, maybe I should have spun away. But at the same time, Kaiser allowed me to make my decision, and that's something that I'm always going to be grateful for him for. And going forward, it's, you know, I'm gonna take the coach's thoughts on that a little more, and you know, I'm gonna ask for his opinion a little more, and that's also the other thing too that people get twisted about the match is that people just go. I mean, some people just went, "Oh, Kaiser said you should have spun away from it," and I'm like, no, he said if I was comfortable, stay with it, and he asked me if I wanted to spin again, and that was the thing is, you know, don't mix words here. He allowed me to stay in there if I was comfortable with it, but you know, there's a difference between comfortability and just how the match will play out. And unfortunately, it didn't play out in my favor. But I've talked to several other people, and it's like, yeah, I mean, as much as it didn't work out in my favor, who knows? Maybe that was probably the best thing to do at the time, but it just didn't work out in my favor. And that's also the other thing. Again, like I've said before, with the Schmoedown, the one element that you can never prepare for is the element of luck.
Yep. That is so true. For example, like if I ever play Schmoedown, here's giving away my strength, but I feel like DCEU is one of my strengths because clearly. But there's been times where I've just cleared, you know, all 5 questions, 2 pointers, I nailed it. And other times where I've gotten 0 right, all because of what questions happen to come up. And sometimes there are things that you know, and there's sometimes the things that it could be a movie you've seen 20 times, but it's just that one key element you just didn't pay attention to. And it's just that you're right, luck is a big part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's been several times where in the study sessions and watching previous matches before, there's been points where I've done worse than what happened here, and then there's been points where I've done extremely well in other questions, and I'm just like, holy crap! Like you know, like you sort of get like that second wave where you're just like, oh yeah, I can totally take this, and then you're just like, no, some days you're better, some days you're better on you're better on certain days, and then you're worse on certain days. It's not about how many times you win. It's about how consistent you can keep that. And I maintain I keep a fairly good level of consistency, but the one thing that no one can ever prepare you for as well is the strategy with the wheel. That is something that coming out of this match, that was probably my biggest lesson learned from this was the risk assessment with the wheel. And that's something that I'm going to carry forward. And, you know, hopefully I'll get another chance to show everybody what I can do.
I love to hear that. That's a great way to feel about the wheel, especially from someone who's just doing this for the first time and getting involved with the league. So I definitely cannot wait to see you grow inside of this league. Sorry, blanks always. Kelsey, let me know how do you feel overall about Inner Geekdom being a slice inside of the singles and the teams? I believe they're putting it in teams also. It's being in a regular match like that.
I'm really interested to see because like IG as overall, I feel like if I was there, my strength, the majority of the categories like that. But because it's just so many categories shoved into one slice, I'm very interested to see like going forward too when it comes up, like what kind of questions come up, because are they going to be very surface level, things like that, and then just randomly there'll be this one question or like, damn, that's a deep cut, like hiding in there, you know what I mean? So I'm just super excited to see but also I can see where it could be a scary slice too, just because of the amount of movies in that slice, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think with some of these new slices that we're going to be seeing on the wheel, it's that what Andres said about it, that risk reward factor behind it. Are these going to be some softball questions because they're going to be the first questions in this category, or are they going to be some deep cut questions? You never know.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So how are we feeling about round 2? Overall thoughts about round 2. Kelsey, I'll let you say yours.
Round 2 was... I love, like I said, round 2 is my favorite round. So it really sets up how like my expectations are going to be of round 3. I'm like, okay, so now here's the finale. We're going to come to the climax of the match. And so I feel like this one really set me up to just like that grabbing your seat, white knuckle, like, okay, what's happening in round 3? Because it just set it up really well where the stakes were high. And I always enjoy that when I'm watching a match. So.
Mhm.
Yep, absolutely. I know that for me, watching this round two, I'm a Dungeon fan. I'm definitely rooting for the Dungeon as a faction as much as I love Shen and Barney. The Dungeon has been my faction for quite some time. Swag might be my number one faction for this tournament, but Dungeon
Drip, drip.
is definitely, yeah, Dungeon is definitely number two on that list, and I always want the Dungeon to win, especially with Andres, you going in there, watching you play it with Video Drew and Eric on their trivia quizzes. Sometimes I've seen you do really well, especially not really knowing too much about Adam Collins. My leniency was kind of leaning more towards Andres in this round. So watching round two was, again, for me as a fan, just kind of like, this is a great match. This is a really good match. I'm so bummed. I'm bummed about it. So it was just a tiny bit of a bummer, but I do think overall, Andres, you did very well in this round, especially this being your first match going in it. I think overall, trusting yourself is going to be important going forward, trusting your manager especially, and then knowing and seeing how Kaiser reacted and the interactions between you and Kaiser. Kaiser trusting his players is important, and even though sometimes it might not work out, we never know how well it could work out, but the trust is there. And I think that overall, coming out of that round two, that's what I really took away from this, is the trust between not just between the Dungeon, but also corruption. Watching Shannon, Barney, and Adams talk to each other the way that they did, it just really shows how much these rookies are trusting their managers and how important that is going in overall. So that's my opinion on it. What about you, Andres? Especially being involved in this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, the entire time, no, I no, going into it, especially after round one, where Adam played about as great of a round one as anyone can possibly do. I mean, he answered all. He got a perfect round, and he also got the bonus round as well. And it's just one of those things where he was a flawless competitor in round one, and he held his own in round two. The thing that people always tend to seem to forget is that he went multiple choice multiple times in that. Mm-hmm. And that's also something that if that's also pretty telling about his comfortability with movie release dates. He's comfortable, but he's willing to go. He's willing to get the extra clarification on that, which it's always good, and it's very telling of a player. They won't just blurt out just something just right off the get-go. They'll just they'll sort of check themselves, and I was kind of really impressed on his end as well too, with him how he composed himself as well. And going into round two, there was definitely a couple of things here and there, names. That's going to be the one thing I'm going to have to work on going forward. So yeah, it's no, but overall, I think it went about as well as it possibly could with that. And there's certain regrets about it, but overall, I'm not going, man, I should have done something else. I'm like, you know what? That's kind of a really tough thing. If I was to go back knowing what I know now, it might change something, but at the end of the day, it's like it could have been a lot worse.
Very true. It's very good to see the positive side come out of that. Absolutely. So we getting into round three. Before we bring up that graphic, I always like to know this, and I feel like, Andres, it was you that picked the numbers that I'm thinking of. But my favorite. Do you have a specific picking strategy?
I'm fairly interested in patterns, actually. So there is a particular strategy to that from my end. Probably the one I'll never choose, because every time I've seen the matches, this is a fairly popular number, 369. that always pops up. But for me, that is sort of something where I'm like, oh, you know what? Just again, I love patterns, and that's kind of where I kind of feel like that's sort of my strategy in terms of picking a number without giving too much of my hand on that.
Yeah, I love that there's a secret strategy about the number picking, but I still haven't seemed to ask the right question to figure it out yet.
I feel like I'm dodging a lot of these questions. I'm just like,
you're doing really well.
Very good job.
You are the guinea pig for Kelsey and I's grilling projects.
Oh, fantastic.
Apparently that's what this turned into. Girl session with Kelsey and Danielle. Kelsey, going into round 3, let's go ahead and bring up that graphic real quick.
Yep.
Ow! Round 3. Oh, I love Meg so much. Round 3. Okay, so this was not technically a KO. It was a TKO. Going into round 3, picking 14, 7, and 1, with new releases being your first question on that, and Adam picking 3, 6, 9. The 3. You can you can move the graphic, Kelsey. I'm sorry, I'm laughing because every time I hear 3, 6, 9, I instantly think of that song. 3, 6, 9. Damn, very fine.
For me, like that's actually for myself, that's actually the release date of the Watchmen movie, which everybody's like, it did, like the first thing I thought of was movies, and then everyone's just going, oh no, it's the song. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I'm a nerd. It's fine.
No, it's ingrained in my brain, and it kind of gets stuck in there. So round 3, just overall, Andres, I'd like to get your opinion about round 3 and your feelings going into it, going through it, and the questions that you got for it.
Yeah. Okay. So in terms of the first question, that was something that I knew right off the get-go was, who was in the who plays what was Al Pacino's role in The Irish? Who plays Jimmy Hoffa in The Irishman? I just had a brain fart there for some reason. And the thing was, even though I knew the answer to that match, there was still a part of me that, the nerves kind of come into play and you kind of start to panic a little bit. Not necessarily panic, but like what I see players seldomly do is give themselves a breather during the match. And that was one of those that the entire moment that when that question came up, I immediately wanted to blurt out, Al Pacino, but at the same time, it's like, do you want to go fast? Do you want to go faster? Or do you just want to take maybe 30 seconds or possibly a minute to recoup yourself real quick? Because, going into that, there was a drastic bar between me and Adam in terms of points. And, sometimes this is where it can come back in. And sometimes, this is where, as Christian said, this is where careers are made or broken. And I just decided to take the route and just calm down and just give myself just a little bit of time to basically just give a breather for myself. And yeah, it's so yeah, for that first question, absolutely. That second question, I definitely got stumped on that one because I kind of fell into that path of just going, oh my goodness, a Liam Neeson movie where he gets into a car crash and someone else assumes his identity. And I'm just like, oh man, for some reason I got into a mode of 90s films. Mm-hmm. And then I started thinking about nothing but 90s. And then I just knew I didn't have it right then and there. And again, if I was a better competitor, I would have gotten what the answer to that question was. And it was the one Liam Neeson movie that I missed. I love Liam Neeson. I like, probably my favorite thing to do is every year, as soon as another Liam Neeson movie comes out, I'm just like, all right, here's a big list of all the reasons that Liam Neeson is a badass. I mean, freaking Nonstop, all the Taken movies, of course, or even just Run All Night. Like, it was a random movie that popped up and I'm still just like there. But Unknown was probably the one that I missed. And that's one of those things that when you train for this, you can go down a rabbit hole and you can just miss one thing. And evidently sometimes it's the difference between life or death on the Schmoedown. And unfortunately, it didn't work out in my favor for this round. So, it's I mean, it went about as well as it possibly could, and there's definitely some room for improvement. But overall, I'm still a believer in my own abilities, and I'm still a believer that I can go into this and I can still answer just a ton of questions. And I can still, still prove myself in this. Like the minute that I lost, I know certain competitors or certain people that basically when this is all over and done with, it's just like, oh, I never want to go back in front of those lights again. Or, do I want to show my face out there? I was talking to a couple of reaction channels and they were saying like, oh, if you still want to come on board, definitely come on board. But we understand if you don't want to after. And I'm like, no, absolutely. I'm totally down because again, even with failure, I think that it is the biggest teacher in terms of anything that you can do. I mean, you look at, oh man, probably the one that still gets me to this day. And I'm sorry, man, he's a fellow dungeon mate, but the Smets question, don't tell Peter. That was one of those that I'm like, oh man, that was a tough one. And that was something that, at that point in time, I just wondered, what was Smets's thinking at that point. And it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, you know what? He didn't let it bother him. He went back and then months later took that title in a bigger arena and in a bigger show. So it's just one of those that I think failure is a good teacher, and you shouldn't run away from it. You should just take it on forward. And you know what? And I'm fairly confident in myself that, again, this was a debut, but a lot of people don't remember debuts. They just remember streaks, or they remember what's happening then and now. Same thing with Zipper as well. Zipper right now, he's on a roll. So, enough said on that front. But yeah, absolutely, I think the third round could have gone a little better on my end, and I feel like I could have been a stronger competitor on that front. But it is what it was, and that's all I can do on that going forward. I mean, probably the only thing that I have a regret about is the sound. That's the only thing. like the sound was the one thing that was killing me as I worked on several sets before, and I was a sound guy. So I was that guy that was holding the boom mic and all that other stuff, and listening for all the audio and all that other stuff. I got a mic right here, and I'm coming in fairly clear. Am I?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I always pride myself on that, and I'm just like, oh, the minute that the audio came out that way, I was like, oh goodness. That is like the biggest regret I have about the match is the audio. That's it.
I'm so happy to hear your opinion about that. I do believe it is important to take your losses well, especially inside of the Schmoedown, and to know to bounce back from it, because sometimes if you don't push a little bit hard, I've always felt like in Schmoedown the squeaky wheel gets the grease. So if you're out there and you're telling people that you're studying, you're getting ready, and even though you have a losing record or you haven't played in a while, I think pushing yourself out there, showing that you're still studying and that you still want to be a part of this league will keep the fans in your corner. Kelsey, how do you feel overall about just like losing matches inside of the Schmoedown and how well Andres is taking this? I feel like that sounded like such a pity party question. I'm so sorry.
He's taking the loss.
Well, I was just gonna say though, some of the most amazing, fantastic streaks have happened after a loss like that. Like look at Ace, like how the IG match went, and then look what happened in Star Wars. So like some of the greatest stories started out that way. So I have nothing faith it's gonna from here.
Yeah, thank you for that. but yeah, no, I didn't take offense to that at all. I mean, you gotta see the humor in all this as well. I mean, it's one of those things where Kaiser was kind of going off about like, oh, he's a nice guy and stuff like that. It's just like, you know what, things could be a lot worse. And also to kind of go into a little bit of a tangent on that front. That week for me that I recorded that was particularly tough in so many ways. I mean, Eric was so patient with me in terms of just certain things that were happening at that point in my life. And just knowing that no matter what happened, the highlight of my week and the highlight of just the entire summer was I competed on the Schmoedown. I mean, come on, can that get any better than that? And probably the other thing I will say as well, as soon as I was done with the match and as soon as I went outside and just kind of retroactively thought about certain things that had happened, the one thing I felt more than anything else was I wanted to get back in there so badly. Like I wanted to get back in there and just not only just to prove something, not only just to kind of prove something to myself a little bit, but just sort of just to, because I know my ability and I'm just like, well, I just really liked competing and that was so much fun. I just want to get back in there eventually at some point. And that was all that was in my mind as soon as I left. So yeah, no, it's, again, it's easy to take wins, but I feel like you learn a lot more from your losses more than anything else. I mean, I have a poster here in my room where it's basically just from Batman Begins. It's what it's called. It's Bruce falling into the chasm and the words, "Why do we fall?" And then when you turn off the lights, you see the glow in the dark words where it says, "So we can learn to pick ourselves up." And that's what I go to every night.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's definitely. I think after matches like that, there's different ways competitors can go out of it. You can, feel defeated and kind of moping, like, I don't know if I want to play this again. Or you can just get hungrier and be like, okay, I had that happen. Now I'm ready to really dive in and stuff like that. So I'm happy to hear that you're really hungry for your next match. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the thing is too, even after all that happened, the dungeon has been nothing but just supportive in terms of just going back out there and just, all the study sessions that we're having still this day and whatnot. Like, it's a very positive environment and all around. Just even some of the feedback I've gotten from people in the fan base and stuff like that. Like, it's just been. I mostly only pay attention to the support and I just forget the trolls because, haters going to hate, but
yep. It's what you got to do.
Yeah.
That is very true. I do feel like as fans of the Schmoedown, it's important for all of us to hear opinions on the loss side of it. We hear so much about the wins and we talk so much about that. But I do believe it is important to also take the yin with the yang inside of the Schmoedown. So this match is over. And unfortunately, Andres, that means that your run in the tournament is also over. But is there any silver lining towards that? Are you ready to just kind of hang back and watch this tournament and see how it goes down?
Honestly, the minute that there was a certain bumness to like, oh man, I'm not going to be competing for a while, possibly until the end of the year because all these matches are coming up, and that's going to take a big chunk of time. But also on top of that, I just kind of felt like, okay, great, so I don't have to face the fact that maybe Roka might hate me if I beat him. That was the only thing. I'm like, all right, well, that's the one silver lining. But apart from that, I'm still looking forward to watching all the matches and also playing along with the matches as well too. In fact, the one thing I'm still trying to research right now in terms of streaming and all this other stuff, I've kind of started Twitch streaming video games and stuff like that, but I'm still looking into being able to Twitch stream actual matches and play along with them, and just to sort of see what the feedback is in terms of like, oh, hey, I'm watching this for the first time. Oh, here are my results as well too, and and that is certainly a test of whether or not you have longevity in this, and whether or not you have the confidence to go up and face against all the people that probably don't particularly like you right now, and that also will say, oh, well, you know what? Collins beat you to death right there. And it's just like, yeah, but at the same time, Collins is no slouch either. Like, he's been doing this for quite a while. And even with the fan leagues, that's still something to say as well. And it's just one of those things where, I mean, I'm just hungry to get back in. And right now I'm going to be watching all the matches with a big grin on my face. So yeah, of course, I'm excited for the rest of the year. I'm also excited to see Zipper and Drew do everything as well. I'm also excited to see what potential upsets there could be in this league, especially.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Me too. So the way that we are doing things here, we've had some technical difficulties, so the show is just not running the way that it normally would. But the reason why we are talking about Andres's match today, when it was yesterday, and today there was a match that aired that everyone is already talking about and all of that good stuff. But the reason why we're doing it later on in the day is because we always kind of want to go back and just reflect on everything and really get a good deep dive and focus on it. So it's unfortunate that we just really couldn't break down the episode the way that we wanted to today. But Kelsey, I want to know also your opinion about the rest of the tournament going in it. So my point with that was that first match, we did it. We're here, baby. Tournament season. We started. I'm so excited to get this content, to get this amount of content that we're going to get. I'm stressed for the rest of this week, but it's fine. It's fine. It's content that I very much enjoy creating, and I get to do it with my very best friends in the world. So it's fine. It's totally fine. I'll be fine. And just as long as I say it's fine, then it's gonna be fine. But it's gonna be fine. So Kelsey, how?
Let's just hear it one more time. Is it going to be fun?
It's gonna be fine.
Yeah, there you go.
It's gonna be fine. But Kelsey, let me know. Tell me how you're feeling about the rest of this tournament. We got the first one down. Now we're getting ready. We did see the match today. Kelsey, I'm not sure if you got a chance to see it. Did you watch today's match? Okay, cool. So no big spoilers, just in case anyone here hasn't seen it, or if you're watching this on a playback and you still haven't seen that match. We won't spoil that for you. But getting ready for this tournament season. Kelsey, how are you feeling? Not only as a fan of the Schmoedown and loving this world, but also as a reactor in this space, and having to do this again, and what we're all having to go through, especially now having so many other friends out there doing this. Kelsey, tell me how you feel.
All right. Well, as a fan, I'm just so excited that we have just so much Schmoedown right now, especially in the world we're in right now. We need something positive, something uplifting. We can't go to the movie theater anymore. We can't do all these things that we used to do normally. We need something. We need substance, and Schmoedown in that substance for me this season. I'm very reliant on it. It is my entertainment. It is my social life. It is very important to me. So as a fan, I'm just so excited that it's been able to keep going, and not only keep going, but the tournaments have been fantastic. So I feel like between Star Wars and IG has set up my expectations for this tournament to be fantastic, and I can't wait to see what happens, upsets and things like that. I'm just super stoked for it. As a reactor filmer person, I am super excited to get to talk about all these matches, but also extremely overwhelmed with because of all the amazing quantity and stuff that you're putting out, and they're so great, amazing. You want to get down those details. You want to pay close attention and be like, okay, what was their reaction to that question? Like, oh my gosh, okay, what did the managers things like that. So you're watching with such focus and detail that Schmoedown is taken over my life even more so than it did last year. So I am both excited and overwhelmed with.
Yeah, it's to the point to where we're watching the Schmoedown matches the way that Inner Geekdom players are watching their movies. We're taking notes, watching it on multiple viewings.
Gotta rewind it again. What was that? Rewind it again.
Quick. Yeah. Andres, how are you feeling about the rest of the tournament going in? Just as a fan and with the content that we have going on in this space.
I feel that there's so much that's going to be consumed that the only thing I'm worried about is time more than anything else. But apart from that, it's a great time to be a Schmoedown fan, especially with, especially with all the work that Eric has been doing with the editing, especially all the work that and I the other thing I want to mention as well too, and I think that this team doesn't get enough credit for their contributions to the Schmoedown is the writers. In terms of what PJ, in terms of what Abby, and in terms of what everybody else does to that, just the fact that they stumped me on certain questions, it's great. It's good. It's good to have someone come in and challenge you on that. And then also on top of that, just how much content they're going to have to generate, how many questions they have to generate between the Star Wars tournament, the Inner Geekdom tournament, and this 36 singles tournament. I can't even begin to imagine how much stress that is. So I just want to give as much props and praise to them as possible on that, especially with the amount of work that Eric is doing right now, getting all these matches all ready to go. I still owe him a big case of Pepsi so he can still keep up because he doesn't drink coffee. But yeah, no, I just have all. I'm just so excited for everything going forward, and I love you, brother.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
man.
unsung heroes of the Schmoedown definitely are the writers. We all know Eric is doing an amazing job over there, but the writers definitely this season deserve a major credit. They're doing wonderful jobs over there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Plus also the one thing that I officially got a scratch off as well with this particular match is being in a promo that Eric edited. Like
Right? That's a dream right there.
like, oh my God.
Delightful.
Like I don't think I've ever looked more cooler and more confident in my entire life than when Eric was putting all that music and the way he cut it. I'm just like, oh my God. Like the first time I watched that, I was smiling from ear to ear, just so giddy. I'm just like, my God.
Oh, that's so nice. It's always so nice to like get a good Nerd Chronic promo in there. Those suckers always get you in the feels, man.
Oh my
Right?
God. And again, he's completely redefined the hype for the Schmoedown entirely. I mean, like just and the other thing that occurred to me while I was watching the match as well too, as much as I was excited for that promo, and as much as I'm excited for all the promos that are going to be coming down in the future, what's the Kevin Smith Jericho promo going to look like?
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm so excited.
like, oh my God, I'm so excited. Sorry, Eric, I don't mean to put any pressure on you, but that's the one I'm looking forward to the most.
Oh, the pressure.
Alrighty, is there anything about this match, Kelsey, that you want to talk about or that you would like to ask Andres about?
I can't have any more questions today. Just felt that it was a wonderful start to the season, the tournament. I'm super excited to see where things go. Super excited to see you in future matches. You're a lot of fun. I love the Ghosts. Great name. Can't wait to find out more about that when we talk to you on Chill.
Fantastic. I'm looking forward to talking about that.
Yes, absolutely. I am too. I really am. Someone posted a GIF or GIF, however anyone in the world wants to pronounce it, of a ghost from Game of Thrones. And don't spoil it. Don't spoil it, just in case it is. Or everyone who's watching this now gets to watch my heart break when that show, when Chill to Action actually airs, when I ask him if the nickname actually does come from Ghost the Direwolf. But don't answer that yet, so stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Man, you really got like everyone's gonna be like, okay, when's that question coming up? I see Danielle's reaction.
I remember to ask it.
Sorry,
And
hype.
ladies and gentlemen, that's how you hype up a future show, guys.
Yeah.
Andres, is there anything else about this match that you want to talk about or point on? Anything that we might have missed talking about throughout it that you want to make sure that you express your feelings on, or anything else like that? If you just let it all out, bud.
Yeah, I mean the only thing I can express more than anything else, I mean if I was to quote an Inner Geek the movie, it is that moment where Spock is just like, I like to express gratitude. That's it. But yeah, it's competing on an episode, it's probably one of the biggest honors I've had, and it's so flattering to see the community really kind of come together. And as much as we praise the winners, we are there for the people that are not so lucky, and that's just something that to me felt so special about this community, and it's something that I'm always going to want to be a part of, and I'm always just going to want to just go out there and go forward. And it just really seems like that the Schmoedown community is just a really great group of people. I mean, you guys included, and everybody. It's just like just the amount of love is just, it's great. It's great. I'm humbled.
I love that. That's such a great answer. I guess if anyone has, I guess if the chat has questions, they can ask questions if they'd like. Kelsey, do we have any Streamlabs or anything like that?
Let's see. We talked about the ones that have come in. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free to Streamlab, feel free to super chat, send them in the chat, let us know.
Wow, we let you all get those questions in really quickly. You know me, it's your girl Danie Joy here. You can find me on Twitter at Danie Joy, DANIEEJOY. You can also find me here on the Call to Action Network every Monday, hanging out with my favorite co-host, Mr. Paul Denuzio, hosting Chill to Action, Schmoedown show where we sit, hang out with Schmoedown competitors. You are now officially a Schmoedown pro, Mr. Andres Gallego. Thank you so much for heavy. So where we sit and hang out with Schmoedown pros and just shoot the shit and chill out. That's pretty much where you can find me. All of that good stuff. My YouTube is kind of on hold for a quick second just because my computer's all messed up. I'm working off of my mom, so thank goodness that my mom is a saint and gave me her computer. Yay! Yeah,
the moms are right, guys.
Kelsey, where can we find you? What you got going on? Plug anything you need to plug.
All right, you can find me at KelseyKins90 on Twitter and Instagram. Also run the Call to Action Podcast Instagram, so you can interact with me there. TeePublic, we've got merch. It's on sale right now. So if you need a Call to Action shirt for $13, you can get it on TeePublic right now. Got stock up. And yeah, I'm also streaming on Twitch. So you can follow me at KelseyKinsGamer. I play a lot of DC-related games, some other like indie games stuff on my computer as well. Watch-alongs. Birds of Prey supposedly is coming out on HBO Max this weekend. So I'm probably going to be doing a watch-along. So if you're not doing anything on Saturday night, come watch me fangirl about like a movie I really, really like. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Kind of sounds like that's going to be an excuse to make a really good bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich in time for that movie, right?
I mean, I love everything about that movie, but they have made the most delicious looking sandwich I think I've ever seen in my entire life.
Now, when I saw Birds of Prey, I was a vegetarian at the time, and then when I saw that movie was the first thing that made me want to break vegetarianism right then and there.
So good.
Oh my gosh, yes. Good stuff. Andres, let us know where you're at. Plug anything that you have going on, or where can the people find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram as Galagos. You can also find me on High Voltage Media with my buddy and co-host Steve Cravens, where we basically review movies. We also review old school video games on the All Time Gaming channel, and also we review the movies on the Underrated channel as well too. And we've got some pretty good things coming up in the pipeline. We're going to be doing an old school review of GTA Vice City very soon, so I'm looking forward to that. And also, you can find me on Twitch, Twitch playing games as well too as Galagos209. I'm going to be playing the remainder of the Avengers beta, which is currently only available to people who have pre-ordered the game. And I already have a stream on there so far. And if you guys want to go up and check that out, I'm going to be hopefully I'm going to see if there's any chance I'm going to be able to Twitch stream the upcoming singles tournament matches as well too. I'm still figuring that out right now, but that's something I hope to get done later on. And on Twitch, you can find me as Galagos209.
Ooh, good stuff. I'm a fan of all of the Twitch stuff that's going on. At first, with the Schmoedown Twitch stuff, I wasn't the biggest fan, but the more that they've done it, and the more that I've gotten used to it, it's totally fine and easy. And now it puts me more into the Twitch world, so I get to see cool stuff like Kelsey streaming her games. And that one time that I watched Nat, that was a lot of fun. Shout out to Nat.
Yeah,
so
no,
now I get to go over there.
Yeah, no, and definitely shout out to, I've enjoyed Kelsey's streams of all the DC stuff. Like, it's so funny. Like, I'm just like, okay, great. There's a couple of streams out there, and I'm like, all right, I'm not sure if I'm into this game. And I'm like, oh, she's playing Injustice. Wow, that's awesome. Batman Arkham City, Arkham Knight. Arkham Asylum, because I know you're a fan of Arkham Asylum more than
Asylum is my favorite. Yeah. Love them all.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Just go up and follow this one's Twitch stream.
Thank you.
Well, I think that's going to be it. Kelsey, doesn't look like there's any questions in the chat. Am I missing anything?
I think it's it. They're mostly just talking about sandwiches. That's bring up food on this call to action, and that's what they're going to go with.
Very normal
Oh,
chat commentary is food and blaming Paul.
Yep. That's our brand.
We all love Paul.
That is definitely on brand. We do love Paul very much, and we love all of you. So thank you so much to everyone who hung out with us on this Wednesday night. I almost forgot the day. This week is gonna drive me insane. Again, we apologize for the very awkward and weird technical difficulties, but we hope that you enjoyed the show, because we definitely wanted to make sure that we still brought Andres on so we can talk about this match, because it is start of tournament season. You get to see us every day. So far, we have these breakdowns set up for the rest of the week. You will get a double header at the end of the week on Saturday, where we will be discussing the I have it up here. I'm sorry. The final exam Pride match and the Smets Dandapani match. We will be breaking that down on Saturday as a double header, even though it premiered last week. So we're a week behind on that and a day after these matches drop. So that's where you can find the C2A schedule on that. Hopefully, maybe if I don't go to sleep after this, I'll put that schedule down in writing somewhere, and we can put that out so it might be a little bit easier for people to follow. We'll figure that out for you, I promise. But for everyone at Call to Action, thank you all so much for everyone hanging out in the chat. We love you, and as always, we salute you.